the correct terminology.
Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a quorum. Welcome y'all to the Delayed Regulated Industries Weekly Meeting. We've got several bills on our agenda today, and let's see, Mr. Hawkins.
Yes, sir.
You got here before you thought you would, so you're first up.
I've been waiting on my own.
All right, let's call up
You mean do it from down there or up here?
whatever you want to do. I'll
You
give
know,
you,
do you take testimony from,
not in the full committee.
huh?
Not in the full committee. We may on one bill because it's gonna probably bypass the subcommittee because it sort of got squirreled around and, the chairman of the subcommittee can't be here to report, so.
I was out in the hall.
All right, if you would, House Bill 242.
House Bill 240.
Which number are you? All right.
House Bill 242. This is pertains to the practice of massage or massage therapy. As we all know, we've had some problems out in the public over the years with illegal massage parlors, happy day endings, and whatever else they call that. This bill has been brought by the Board of Massage and also their association. Let me preface it by saying that I actually use massage therapy in my practice. We have patients with myofascial pain syndrome, tic Delarey, and a number of other things. And by using massage therapy, and I stress therapy, we can subside some of the medications like Valium and some of the muscle relaxants we use. This bill addresses a number of things, and I'll move on a little bit quicker than I'm doing this, and I apologize. It promotes massage therapy as a therapeutic health profession. It reinstates the definition of massage therapy as therapeutic. It adds requirements to maintain the malpractice insurance. It states and strengthens the standards for appropriate advertising. Establishes board certification for massage therapy educational programs, increases power to order inspection of the businesses in compliance with statutory regulations, authorizes the board to permit continuing education credits, increases fines for non-compliance, increases in enforcement and authority, and it recognizes and standardizes licensures, checks, and municipal license fees throughout the state. Limits zoning standards. It says regulatory fees. Limits provisions of inhibit normal business practices and permits mobile massage. You've got before you LC 337781S. The change in the in this bill, in the original bill brought, was the elimination of some of the Secretary of State's requirements upon the Secretary of State as far as inspections. We have spoken with the Secretary of State's office, and they were concerned about the number of inspectors they had available, and so we have complied with their request. And with that, I will rest my case.
Questions from the committee members? I have just a couple of questions, and while we don't take testimony, I am going to ask some folks maybe to assist you for a couple of things. Stan? Got a couple of questions for the benefit of the committee.
Sure.
There were some concerns over this over the years, as it is for a lot of licensure acts. Would you like to explain to the committees that magic 400, what that's about?
I'm happy to do that. I will say we took that out at the request of the Secretary of
I
State.
understand.
So The overall goal of the bill really was to sort of separate massage parlors from therapeutic massage. We did originally have a provision here that added massage therapists, speech therapists, OTs, and PTs to a list of educated professions that's in the tax code that says these professions cannot be regulated by counties. And what that affects is the occupational taxes that are imposed on the higher professions. So that's called the 400 Club because it essentially limits occupational fees by cities and counties to $400. That proved not to be necessary for the goals of the bill. And there were some questions from another member of the committee about whether that sort of overdid some of the protections we were seeking. And there's been some pending study committees, as you may know, about occupational fees that Brett Harrell and Shaw Blackman have been working on this summer. So rather than adding the 4 professions that are not in that list to the existing law, we pulled it back. I'm happy. I don't know, is that too opaque?
So
I'm a lawyer, I talk too much.
That is the explanation I wanted to give the committee about the 400 Club, so that they would know, and that should be no objections, hopefully, moving forward.
Right. I will say the counterpart to the 400 Club is another set of professions that the cities and counties are permitted to regulate and charge the cost of regulation. So massage parlors, not therapeutic massages, on that list. I know that Representative Jones asked a couple of questions last time about how we're separating the two. And there are multiple provisions in here that really lift up therapeutic massage, but also impose limitations on what can be advertised so that there's not really any confusion between a spa, massage parlor, and a licensed therapeutic massage therapist.
All right, if you'll hold on. Any questions from any of the committee members? Yes, sir. Mr. Collins.
I don't have a question for this gentleman. I just had a question about a specific part of the bill.
Okay.
All right, Denoli, any questions from anybody? You're recognized, Mr. Collins.
One of the things I want to make sure is local jurisdictions will be able to permit or prohibit these establishments according to their local zoning. Is that correct?
That's correct. And they can also do health inspections like as any other business.
Okay.
And fire inspections.
All right. So it would be, one follow-up question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
So it would be up to the local governing authority if someone wanted to have a home occupation. This does not affect, this leaves that up to local governments. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Very good. Any further questions? I'd like to make a comment before I call for a motion on this. This is something is just a starting point for the massage industry. I would like to see this go a step further, but this isn't the time to do it. Massage therapy is probably one of the broadest fields there is, from therapeutic to relaxation. But I will tell you that after I had a certain surgery a couple of years ago and I had knees replaced, if it had not been for a skilled medical masseuse, and she doesn't carry that license because Georgia doesn't recognize that category as a medical masseuse, I probably would not be walking today. And I have a very specific reason that I have a warm spot for this profession, and it is a profession, because in other states that understand the positive effects of this. This is very much used in the medical profession, both pre and post-operative, and at some point, as this thing steps forward to put more professional credentials into this profession, that's what we need to see down the road. That being said, this bill came out of professional and occupational licensing.
Yes, that's correct. It did pass out.
Well, you'd be the one to make a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Well, I'm making a motion right now.
All right, state your motion.
Make a motion to pass.
as a committee substitute.
Make a motion on substitute did pass.
LC 7818S. Any further questions of the committee? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Mr. Hawkins. Thank y'all, ladies and gentlemen. Bring up House Bill 353.
Anybody out here wants to give me a rub on my shoulders, I appreciate it. Preferably not named Dale.
All right.
Mr. Hawkins?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill, we have House Bill 253. I'm looking for my pack. I was going to tell you the sub number on that. Here it is. LC 363863S. This too is a bill that's been heavily didacted, and we've worked with Secretary of State's office on this bill also. This is a bill that was brought by the board of the Georgia Occupational Therapy. And this bill, as massage therapy, is designed to protect the citizens and the health and welfare of the citizens of Georgia. This bill adds a definition of occupational therapy. It clarifies splinting from orthotics. It updates defining the occupational therapy to be consistent with the American practice framework. There's no expansion of scope in this bill, okay? That's important. It also defines telehealth and incorporates it into a practice act. It allows the Georgia OT Board to require applicants who have failed licensure exams more than 3 times or have been out of school greater than 5 years before passing their exam they can require refresher education and clinical and/or clinical experience. House Bill 253 has been vetted by both the medical and healthcare provider associations. And Mr. Chairman, that's about what this bill is.
All right, questions of the committee? Any questions from the committee? No? Gosh, somebody's doing a good job.
Well, thank you.
All right. Mr.
Can I
Chairman,
make a motion?
Make a motion did pass.
Second.
we have a motion and a second by committee substitute. LC 363863S.
Yep.
Any further questions, any comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Moving forward. Mr. Stevens, Chairman Stevens, come right on up, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the committee, House Bill 76 was introduced to address a real specific issue that we've got in Savannah. And in many ways, it's a real good problem. The largest College of Art and Design, or the largest art college in the country, in the world, is in Savannah. That's the good part. The bad part is they will open sometimes 1, 2, 3 buildings all over the city because the entire city is their campus. There is no defined campus. In fact, they have 83 buildings that are campuses in the city limits. And it brings us to the legislation. One of the trolley companies, the tour companies, there recently developed plans to branch out and build a 30,000 square foot American Spirits History Museum on Martin Luther King Drive. The museum was a replica distillery, a restaurant, a bar, special events, and a gift shop with a showcase of a wide variety of spirits that were made in the state. One of them is the Service Brewery and Ghost Coast Distillery there in Savannah, which is a real big tourist attraction. The City of Savannah Council was pleased to have this investment in the local tourism economy and approved the project unanimously. Unfortunately, the distance requirements to colleges was denied because of the state's distance requirements. So what this bill does, in short, is before you today, is it shifts the problem back to the local government in these cases and it specifically addresses the one that's in Savannah. And it gives the local authority local control over these distances of package sales when they're close to college buildings. That's what it does in a nutshell, and I'll answer any questions.
Bottom line, SCAD has bought up every inch of square property they could in Savannah.
And to make it even worse, whenever property is already zoned for this, whenever a building moves in, it creates a problem when somebody's trying to open something that they'd already planned for.
All right. Do we have any questions of the committee? Any questions from the committee? I only have one question. Is my dear friend Henry Monsees, is he in favor of this legislation?
Absolutely. Thank you.
I can take that as gospel.
Absolutely.
Very
Henry
good.
likes the bill.
Mr. Williams,
It came out of subcommittee due pass, and I make the motion, Mr. Chairman.
we have a motion from the subcommittee chairman as a due pass for LC 36-380-3814S. Any further questions from any of the committee members? Any action? If not, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman and members of the
All right.
committee.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, last but not least, we're going to have to deviate. As you know, we're running short on days, and I'll leave this to the will of the committee. We have a bill, and it's LC, you have in front of you a substitute, LC 363910S. This is a substitute to HB 328. Chairman Welch is in a judiciary meeting right now. I think they have heard this bill, and this is the product of the committee. Yes, but they did not have the substitute ready, as I understand. Correct me if I'm wrong.
We did have it ready this afternoon, we just couldn't get the committee together.
You didn't have enough members for a subcommittee.
Correct.
That being said, I'm gonna ask the full committee, this is a deviation from our standards of a bill needs to come out of the subcommittee. Do y'all want to hear this bill as a committee of the whole of this regulated industry, or would y'all rather wait to get it reported out of the subcommittee? Hear it today. Ms. Mathiak, would you please go to the podium? Or would you rather sit at this table?
I would rather sit at the table. I have
Go right
Dr.
ahead.
Ruskin with me from the Department of Public Health.
Go right ahead, all right?
Mr. Chairman and committee, thank you so much for allowing us to be here today. We sure appreciate it. This bill started out as, and it is, a cleanup and modernization of what you heard last year with the microblading. The Department of Health has, they cannot back legislation, but they are in favor of this. I would like to remind you that microblading and tattooing are two different body art. The microblading only goes through 3 layers of dermis, where a tattoo goes through 8. And previously, you could not have a needle any more than an inch away from the eye, and that was how this microblading bill started to begin with last year. And I would like to remind you that microblading is used primarily for somebody that might have cancer, maybe alopecia where the hair falls out. So that's the main reason for that. Currently, microbladers across the state are regulated county by county, similar to what you just heard, and it's making it difficult for them to perform their art because it's promulgated regulations are different county to county. The other piece to this bill is definitions about tattooing and upgrading or modernizing, so to speak, nomenclature by the use of body art, body artists, and body art studios, rather than tattoo or some of the other nomenclature that they've used. The bill also allows the Department of Public Health to provide standards for body artists and for those studios. If you don't mind, Mr. Chairman, if I could go maybe page by page so I can kind of give you an idea of what the bill does. The first part, 31-40-1 is definitions. Then in 31-40-2, that's the permitting piece for the, to make it unlawful for any person to operate an art studio without having a valid permit through that county, and the Department of Health would promulgate that. 31-40-3 provides the violations and the appeals process. 31-40-4 codifies the law. 31-40-5 is the rules and regs that are put forward. And I'd like to point out to you that this helps with standards for the body artists, cleanliness, sanitation, informed consent, and that's where Chairman Welsh wanted us to change the bill to the sub-bill. Previously, there was a bill written for consent and education for young people that were getting tattoos, and that may prevent them in the military. And so he asked us to add that, so that's why there's a sub-bill. Procedures for ensuring adequate explanation is a part of that. And then proper use and maintenance of the equipment, including not only the tools, but the dyes and pigment. And then competence of the specializing of a body artist. You just don't get to watch a video on YouTube for 20 minutes and think that you can microblade. 31-40-6 is the department can inspect a premises at any time for in a reasonable time, in a reasonable manner. 31-40-7 provides that it's a misdemeanor if you are in violation of any of these codes. And then you'll notice on page 2, line 46 is where it says the department, is that it? Okay, the department shall be authorized to charge a permit fee and may establish the amount of such fee to be charged. Such fee so established shall be reasonable and shall be determined in such a manner that the total amount of fees shall be approximate in the total of the direct and indirect costs to the department for permit issuance for the oversight and enforcement of provisions of this chapter. And that was all that was added, correct, Dr. Ruskin?
All right.
And we're here to answer any questions.
All right. The gentleman, if you would, next to you, could he identify himself and his position of authority?
Sure. So my name's Dr. Christopher Rustin. I oversee the Environmental Health Program at the Department of Public Health.
And are you in agreement with all of this from the department's standpoint?
Yes, yes, sir.
That this puts more regulation or puts more scrutiny into this practice?
Yes, sir. And this has been something that we felt it's been needed to modernize this particular statute. Our primary goal is to ensure consistency of our inspections across the state. And right now, it's done 159 different ways because there's 159 health departments, so they all have their own regulations. And one of the biggest complaints we get from the industry is it is all over the board. And so this allows us to develop one regulation that's then enforced through the local health departments, like all of our other programs.
So that's a do. Y'all do like this.
Yes, sir.
Now, as far as the committee, do we have any questions from the committee? No? Does everybody on the committee know what microblading is? You do?
Tattoo and eyeliner.
Well, that's good. I didn't know what microblading was until till my subcommittee chairman, Mr. Ridley, had to go have his eyebrows done because he lost all of his hair on his head. So, all right. Since we're acting as a role as a subcommittee and a full committee, is there anyone that would like to testify or has any words on this bill? Yes, sir. If you'd identify yourself at the podium.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Jacob Issa. I represent the Microplaters Association of Georgia. We just want to say that we're in full support of this bill. I have a member of our association if y'all have any technical questions about microblading, but we just wanted to voice our support.
Very good. Thank you. Any other questions? Any questions from the committee members? Do we have anybody from GMA, ACCG that has any problems? You got any heartburn with this?
Mr. Chairman, I haven't read the bill yet. Go to the microphone.
Well, you can stand where you are if it gets us out of here quicker.
Mr. Chairman, I have not had a chance to review the bill, but I don't think we've heard anything that would give us pause at this moment, so we'll say that we are neutral at this time.
No heartburn.
No heartburn.
Thank goodness. Anyone else who wishes to be heard on this matter? No one? I hear somebody back there tweaking in the back. No? All right. Any questions from the committee? Since we're acting as a subcommittee at this point of the whole, need a motion on as working as a subcommittee in a second.
Make a motion.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye that we pass it as the submitted substitute.
Aye.
Opposed? Secondary motion, full committee's back in. Full committee.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further questions from any of the committee members? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and ayes have it. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Winner, enter.